very bookbinding centric or very, very custom to the point where like it's just stuff that I couldn't buy a pattern for because it's like I'm making a sheath for someone's knife and like probably not going to have a pattern available for that knife. So I've done a lot of my own development in that regard, but it doesn't always, that's not always a very efficient way to go. I did buy, uh, I did buy like an instruction, kind of a step-by-step process for these like cutting boards, these really sophisticated wood cutting boards. Um, haven't been able to do that, but hopefully I can get into that. Had a good stream. I do a weekly show with Polymaker Filament, so that got done. Galaxy colors today. Awesome. Lurk cleaning up my painting desk. I love that stuff. I love the cleaning the workspace and listening in. So enjoy. Custom gifts make relationship connections in my experience. Absolutely. Absolutely. Making custom graphics may help. Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting approach too. Okay, so we've got our last two signatures here. I should have plenty of thread. Yeah, I have plenty. This one is not going to be a nail biter. I think the journal that I did for Babe Ross might have been a bit of a nail biter. Do you remember watching that on stream? I'm vaguely remembering that, but again, all's well that ends well, right? Sometimes it looks like I'm coming up short, and then once I take the slack out, there's just enough. I've had that happen a couple of times. Um, when I'm in practice, I'm pretty good at judging how much thread I need, but when I'm out of practice, I can be way off. I got into the groove of making teddy bears when the first one sold one day after I finished it. The second one sold when it was just ahead, and the third one sold before I even started it. I've made six and sold five so far. That is awesome. Good for you. It sounds like you've really found a good niche there. That's amazing to have that kind of interest in your work. The other thing that you should consider is that if people are clamoring for them and you literally can't make them fast enough, you might want to consider raising your prices. And it really does depend on what you're doing it for. Um, maybe you don't want to profit maximize, and that's fine. But at the same time, like if you know, you really don't want to undervalue your work and leave money on the table and struggle to uh, keep up with an overabundance of orders. But that, I mean, especially if you've only made a few, you can also just take some time to enjoy the excitement of that, and you can always find ways to adjust your pricing a little later on. So no huge rush there or anything, but just something to consider. Makes a lot of sense if you have something of value. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's no stronger indication that you do have something of value. Have you ever made memory bears that are made from loved ones' clothing? That's a great idea. Yeah, incorporating a little panel or giving them a little shirt or putting a patch on the hat or a little heart made of that fabric or something like that. I can imagine a lot of really wonderful ways of uh, incorporating that into the design. That's a great idea. Let's see. Just want to nudge this ribbon over. Toward the binding hole. Can I find the binding hole? Or what? Got all shy on me. There we go. Okay. Patchwork bears is what I've seen before. Yeah, I've seen ones like that too. I figure you could probably find some good ways to incorporate the fabric along with the leather in a way that would kind of do best of both. We have some keepsake items as well, and those can definitely be very special and can make for a special either someone gets it for themselves or it becomes a really unique and very poignant gift. Might be something to consider, and that's kind of a whole other way to find customers. The one I'm working on now, I'm making a leather rose in pink and a leather heart with the new owner's name tooled into it. That sounds awesome. Very intricate work too. I'm not. I guess I'm not totally sure on the scale that you're working at. What, just like roughly, what? How would you describe the size of the bear and like the size of the rose as well? Just out of curiosity. Okay, so we've got the last signature going in, and then I've just got to take up the slack and take out the twists. And then we've got a couple of quick operations on this buckle strap that I'm flopping all around here. Okay. Let me just do a quick look and feel check here, because this is pretty much bound at this point. Ooh, very nice. I wish these, part of me wishes the holes were a little neater because of the way that I measured this out and marked everything. I wound up making the holes from the inside out. Usually, I make the holes from the outside in, and so there's a little bit of like splitting and tearing here. Um, but I actually kind of like that for this specific piece. Hmm, nice. Love to see the spine of this coming together at last. I like how everything's lining up with the paper and the lacing. Doesn't seem like the pockets are going to be too inaccessible. That seems fine. Let's see what it looks like with the buckle wrapped around. Yeah. Yeah, this is going good. I like this a lot. The large ones are 11 inches tall. The rose will be a little shorter. Nice. Oh, oh, cool. Okay. That looks so good. Thank you. Designed and 3D printed a custom bookend for someone with their name engraved into it. Nice. The holes make it look nice. Yeah, I do like the texture of it, and there's like just there's these little like it's lighter because you're seeing undyed leather coming through the dyed grain. Um, yeah, there's something that I really like about that. Thank you very much, Bevel Leathercraft. Thank you very, very much. All right, so now I'm going to go through and just make sure that this binding is nice and tight. You can see these stitches veering off course there. So I want to take the slack out. What style was that bookend 3D print world? If you've got a picture of that, love to take a look at your work as well. Okay, so I use this little dummy needle that has a loop of thread on it to get in under these stitches and pull out the slack. And eventually, when enough slack accumulates, I can pinch with my finger and get under there. But it's also nice to still have the thread to kind of work, twist through, and that kind of thing. It's a wave-shaped one. Nice, nice. Okay, and especially at these link stitches, gotta really sort of coax out. There we go. Oh, I didn't even look at the bookmarks yet. We'll save that for the end. We'll save that for once the binding is done. Looking forward to the first look at that. Obviously, I know generally what it's gonna look like. I've mocked it up and everything, but seeing it done in the near finished piece and then in the finished piece as well just has its own effect. That's, you know, you can approximate it, but just like with this lacing, I find myself surprised pleasantly by my own work, and that is a really wonderful feeling. Almost all the things I do in black, I use vinegaroon. I started making it when I could not get black dye shipped to me in the winter, and I love the color it gives and used it ever since. Interesting. I have heard of vinegaroon. I have never used it myself. Typically, I will use a dyed finished leather. There are times where someone will ask for something in purple or green, or there are a couple of things where I've done um, like special hand dyed effects. Um, I started out dyeing stuff because I figured that would be a good way to experiment with a few different colors and different types of leathers. Just get a couple of different weights of leather, some milled, some not, undyed, unfinished, and then buy a few bottles of dye, right? Um, and that seemed like a really good way of not just buying a hide and being stuck with that for everything that I was going to do. Well, the dyeing and finishing, eventually that became uh, extra steps that I wasn't that uh, just weren't a priority for me to focus on. And I had some issues on a couple of pieces with dye transfer that made me a little bit nervous about that, and that sort of thing. So I've been working typically with dyed pre-finished since then, but using vinegaroon, and especially if that has its own characteristic color and properties to it, that sounds awesome. I'm glad you found something you like to use so much, and a way to get around the lack of availability of black dye. Very, very resourceful. Yeah, so now we went from barely getting the needle in to pretty good loop there. Easy to grasp onto with the fingies. Okay. Okay, there we go. The link stitches definitely take a little bit of coaxing because of the way that they double back. And a lot of the time there's a lot of tension on them. So they can be a little tricky. Yeah, typically I wouldn't want to have these holes visible the way that they are. I would want to have made neater holes in the grain of the leather, but for this specific piece, I'm really liking this look, and I think my sister-in-law is gonna really like it a lot as well. It's a reaction to the tannic acid in the leather that turns it black, so it will never transfer. I like it for that as well. That that is really cool. So that's like really chemically bonded into the leather itself, it sounds like. Awesome. And is that vinegar and steel wool or something, or am I thinking of something else? I think I've heard more of vinegaroon being used with wood than with leather. Um, but yeah, that's really cool that you're using that. And good to know about that very color fast property. Okay, nearing the end of the binding here. Hopefully this will be the only tightening pass that we need. When I was really practiced, there were some bindings where I barely needed to do any tightening at all. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. So just finish off this binding with one last link stitch. Let's not loop the buckle strap. All right. And let's make sure we're not piercing the thread. Yes, that's it. And you notarize it after in water and baking soda. Neutralize it, I think. If you cut it after you dye it, you do not need to touch it up, just burnish it. Cool. Very, very cool. Might have to experiment with that myself sometime. I'm glad you mentioned that. Gosh, there's just so much fun shop talk to do. So many creative people doing so many different interesting things, you know? Okay, so there's our binding. Love that sound. Clipping those threads on a finished binding. Nothing like it. So crisp. Okay. Uh, let's get the bookmarks through. So I'll mark. Those came out way longer than I wanted. Uh-oh. Why is this like, that's way longer than I wanted. I might wind up redoing this. I'm still figuring out some of these measurements. Maybe it won't be that bad in the end. Let's see. Uh, it might just be longer than I intended and not too long. Um, hmm. I don't think that's crazy long. It's long. I didn't quite get it where I wanted it, but that might be all right. Let me see. That hangs quite a bit. I like it. Okay. I'll make a note of that for you. I mean, it's not, I do want it to have enough so that you can set it back from the edge of a shelf, right? And like, that's less than an inch. No, this is good. This is good. I think maybe like, no, this is good. This is good. I'm not redoing it. That works. That works. I think this one with the bead, since it doesn't have a patch, like this area feels a lot longer, but with the other two with the longer leather patches, this is where they need to be. Because I do want to be able to hang them off of a shelf with the journal set back from the edge. And if I shortened those anymore, I wouldn't be able to do that. So it's good so you can actually find the page you want to read. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, great. That's looking really nice too. I can't wait to take some glamour shots of this. Nice. Okay. So, let's see. All I've got to do is my buckle strap holes. So let's go back to the workbench for that. One sec here. How soon is the leather for mine supposed to arrive? I just put the I just put the order in this morning. I'll keep you posted on when it ships. Once it ships, I would expect it to arrive in, I don't know, like maybe 3 days or 4 days. That is one area I need to work on. My pictures suck. Oh man. Yeah, it's I don't know. I still I thought your bear was pretty well presented. It was a little grainy and stuff, but product photography is a craft unto itself, you know? So if that's something that you find would take away from your work, it takes practice. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I'll keep you posted every step of the way, and I'll definitely let you know when I'm streaming work or when I'm planning to stream work on your journal. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I've got this fairly taut. Get my scratch all here, and I'm gonna put a hole right there. That's a little, is that tight? I want to give it like a little bit of tension, but not too much. Then again, the leather is liable to stretch. So I think I'm going to go about here with my first hole. Whoa, it's like kind of shifting. It keeps moving. It's moved like half an inch from the first hole that I was going to put in. That's annoying. All right, I got to figure this out. The new shop is getting overkill in lighting to help. That will help a ton. That will help a ton, I bet. More light is better a lot of the time when it comes to photography. Yeah, good call, 3D Print World. Absolutely. I got to look into some lighting myself. Cool. Let's see. I did just get a notification that the Etsy order shipped. So the charm is on its way. Moderation is important as well. Yeah. It's I mean, you can always turn the lights down or turn some of them off, but especially especially if you want to take like high quality video, it it's good to have more light than you might expect. Moko made. Oh boy. Welcome in, Raiders. Moko made us your problem now. Oh boy. How's it going, everybody? Welcome in. I'm a I'm a fellow Moco Loco team member. I got to work on my stream assets and get the logo back in there. But yeah, welcome in, everybody. How's it going? I'm Pausanias of Ithaca. Pow, Pause. I've got a few different little nicknames here, but yeah, I am working on some bookbinding, which had a huge. Oh my gosh, we've got follows pouring in. Thank you very much. Yeah, there we go. Elect Rick Vibrator. Um, obviously, I hope your political campaign is going well for your election. Pick Stitch, uh, Arid, Lady B Arts, Hot Pants Gaming, Rexy the Savage, Princess Peach. Thank you very, very much. Hey, yeah. Look at the fancy shop. I got to do the shop tour here. Too much light can make the photo a bit overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. Alrighty. Yeah, welcome in everybody. Um, yeah, so I'm doing some bookbinding. My bookbinding had a huge boost. A few years ago when I first participated in, I think it was the original, was it the original partner party? Um, and I've been working on and off since then. And I am very proud of this piece that I'm about to finish. I'm glad that I get to show it to all of you live. Um, he built the shop with his own two hands, locos. Yes, yeah, this wall that I'm facing right here that I'll show you on camera in a second. Framed it, hung the drywall, did most of the drywall taping and coating myself, painted it. Um, would have been PP1, yeah. Yeah, so I had I think it was a couple of giveaways and maybe some auction items, or the auctions might have been for the Guild JDRF fundraiser, but there was a summer there that I had so much interest in my bookbinding